All right, we are live. Check my microphone here. Make sure she's working good. Crank it up just a hair bit more than that. And there we are. What's happening, everybody? Oh, let's see. Salamda. I guess I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hi, Chris. Your 6/8/2019 is one of the best cases of pitches being manipulated. Great work. Thank you. Appreciate that. Hassan, hi. What's going on, man? Heath B. What's up, Chris? What's going on, man? Hello, William from Cali. Good to have you in there. Man, I wish it was that time for us right now. You're like, what, 3 or 4 hours behind, 3 hours behind. Oh, yeah, I'd love to have an extra 3 hours for this evening. Jose, what's going on, man? Good to have you in there, as usual. Tommy, what's happening? Oh, it's midnight there, huh? Yeah, I might even, I had a couple of you guys request saying, hey, do you think you can get on here a bit earlier? And we might do that. We might actually move it to 6, just so, it'll help you guys a little bit more, you know what I mean? Dennis, what's happening from New Hampshire? Yeah, I guess we're on. I guess this thing's working all right. Last time I think I was on it. Well, not that time, but the time before. I think I had the mic was on like 50 or something like that. I usually have this thing cranked up to about 90 only, so it's it's not too low. It just seems to be a sweet spot for this thing. Ricardo Torado, what's going on, man? Hi there, Chris. How's everything? Great video about the smoking gun. Yeah, that one there, it took a bit of time to get together, guys, but I'm glad I could bring it to you because that thing was, I'll tell you what, that thing will wear you out, man, just constantly going through all of those clips and trying to find each of those anomalies. And, I know some of you guys have said, man, part two, man, you got to go for it. So we might be doing that too. Photography, Light and Magic. So your latest video, great stuff. Do you know if these images are available for download? See, that's the thing. I'm sure there are some are, because when you watch that at the very bottom left, it tells you what sol that it is. My thing is, though, chances are, because like I said, I think those particular photos were the originals. In other words, if you've seen them now on the site, they may not be as clear. In other words, be more covered up, or they just did a great job of filling in, doing their magic on it and just putting like the ground. So, you can basically cut a piece of ground, put another piece of ground there. So it looks solid. You wouldn't even see that. You wouldn't see any blurring, none of that. They do a super job of trying to, kind of pull the wool over our eyes. So I don't know. I don't think you'd find it like that because, I was just like, as soon as I started to pause that thing, I'm looking at that. I'm going, man, something does not jive here at all. And I started looking at it and said, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There's the BS right there. Mark, you rock. Appreciate it, man. Stan, hi from Ireland, Northern Ireland, rather. What's happening? Good to have you in there. Eddie the Eagle has landed. What's going on there, brother? Chris Blake, what's up? Mike sounds good. God, I hope so. Because I've actually got two of these. Well, not this particular mic, but I got a Samson mic as well. And had a buddy of mine from the UK say, man, Chris, how did he put it? You sound BBC quality. So yeah, I mean, the idea is to have it as clean as we can. So I don't mind spending the extra money on these just to get it to sound decent, Let's see. Nacho Libre. Been waiting all evening. What's going on, man? Good to have you in there. Would you say that photography, light, and magic? There is some amazing stuff I uncovered and would be good to get the individual images. Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, sometimes it's like the pans. Like a lot of these guys will put pans together, these panoramas. And I like those. A lot of people say, well, I'd rather have the individual. Me, I differ. I'd rather have the pan only because you can actually see the size of whatever's around and you get this broad view of what the actual rover is looking at. You can almost get a feel for how big these anomalies may be. So that's why I kind of like the pans. Not everybody does. I do. It just seems to be, it just seems to help me. It seems to I can judge maybe somewhat of a distance from the rover, as long as you can see the rover itself. You know what I mean? So if you see the top of the deck or one of the cameras or any of the instruments on board it, you can kind of judge, maybe kind of rough guesstimate of how far these anomalies may be or how big they are. Mark Norris, good job, Chris. I appreciate that, brother. William Johnson, you said, are there videos from Mount Sharp? Well, basically, the whole area is of Mount Sharp. Now, Opportunity was in a different spot. That's the video I just did. I don't know, to be truthful with you, if they did, they probably did the same thing they did on this one here, pieced it together. So, again, they took just a bunch of Sol photos. Again, let's say, I think I even said this in the video. If you had Sol, let's pick a number 396, and you decided to say, hey, you know what? There's 5 of these photos we want to share. So take each photo, blur it out, take out whatever you need to take out. All right. Same thing with these other 4, stitch them together. There's one Sol. And of course, the rover is going to move each of those photos. So there's your 5 positions in one Sol. And so they do this to all of these different Sols and then stick them all together and just make this movie. So it's not really a video per se. It's just a basically a collage of different Sols thrown together. And then, of course, it looks like it appears to be moving, which in a sense it is, but it's by frame by frame by frame, or Sol by Sol, rather. So, yeah. Renee von Oosterhout, yeah, Chris, the Eagle Eye. Well, I'll tell you, man, I don't, when I tell you guys, when I brag about these magnifiers and all this other stuff, man, I'm all over these things like a bad rash. You know what I mean? You got to look at every little detail in these things. That's what, anybody could just take a look at a photo and go, oh, I don't see anything. And you probably wouldn't, because most of the time, what do? We take a quick glance. Oh, yeah, that's a nice little mountain, nice rocks, whatever, boom, and off you go. Well, you want to do more than that. You want to just scrutinize these. Now, you may look at a photo and go, I don't see anything in it. Next. And that's what I do all the time. Especially when it comes to making videos. I just go, like I said, I can't tell you guys how many photos I've been through. I look at something, wow, this is so badly manipulated, I couldn't pull anything out if I wanted to. Or, like, they'll take a photo of an outcropping, like real close to the rover, and because it's so close, it looks like it's crystal clear. So chances are you're not going to find anything in it. Picture that. Like I said, that's real close to the rover, within 4 to 6 feet. It looks crystal clear. Why? Because there's nothing to be seen there. That's why it's as clear as it is. When you start just, going off a distance just a hair bit, suddenly everything just turns to mush and looks like crap. And I find it hard to believe that camera takes that lousy of a picture of photos. And you guys, I know you guys agree with that, Doesn't make much sense. Let's see. What's up, Chris? Scotty B checking in. What's going on there, Scotty B? Good to have you in there, man. Tommy, you said I did some very basic, contrast manipulations tonight in a large Mars photo and found quite a few structures and carved face in the hillside. I also found some strange craft and engineered parts. If you get the photo, drop the link, and everybody else can have a look at it as well. And you can always go to my Facebook page, and you can actually drop the photo there if you want to, or your enhanced photo if you like. But see, that's awesome. Listen, guys, this is what makes my job all worth it, man. Well, my hobby, because it's not really a job, right? But everybody's scrutinizing these things, and that's what it's all about. I love that you guys are tearing these things apart, man. It's, it does my heart good. You know what I mean? Because, it's like other people before myself, right? They do these, they did their research, investigations, and everything else. And of course, then they moved on. They stopped doing it. And then I stepped up. Now somebody will step up behind me, and so on and so forth. So, and that's what it's all about, man. It's it's like, keep at this, keep at it. I think a couple of you guys have said, all right, where do we go from here? Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's like, I think the last, video that I did, and, before doing the video, it basically solidified what I've been thinking about all this time. I'm saying to myself, my God, look at this blatant stuff. And then look at the stuff that's in the manipulation, as well as the stuff they did not cover up. It's almost like they leave like half of these anomalies undone. So it kind of looks like a rock from a distance, right? But when you look, you can actually see the manipulation, like these little, blurred squares or whatever. You could still see like white or like a line going through said blurred squares and stuff like that. And then, of course, you have to complete that thing like a puzzle, and then you can bring out the anomaly. And it takes a bit of time. not only, like I said, did I find the photos, but then well, not find the photos, but I actually screenshotted. I'm just used to finding photos, right? Screenshot the actual video pieces just step by step, like painstakingly, just boom, 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 boom. And like I said, I could have kept going and made this a 3-hour video. And I went, oh, Jesus, So, and not to mention, guys, you wouldn't even believe this. I was actually working on this thing. Keep in mind, you're talking about an hour video. You go, well, what's the big deal? Well, now you want to edit it because maybe there's some things that are relevant, doesn't really matter. Or you make mistakes, say something, stuttered or whatever you did. Okay, block it out. All right, well, then this is what's funny. It wasn't funny at the time, though. I had it in my, the movie maker, which you can, Windows Movie Maker. I had it in there, and all of a sudden, everything but my intro went like all these exclamation points. It said the file was corrupt. I went, oh my God. And I was literally done with it. I was literally done with that video. And then that happened. So I was just doing the very ends and it just a whole screen went blank. I went, what is going on here? I said, oh my God, please tell me no. That did not just happen because it would probably take you a good 3 hours just to do an hour video because you're trying to do it just right and get it just, correct the way it should be. Oh my God. But I was able to save it and turned out okay. Nice and, 1080p. And of course, when I first uploaded the video, it only went in 360. A couple of you guys are going, oh my God, I can't watch this, man. It's like in 360. But because it was close to an hour, I guess it had to be completely, it had to be completed by YouTube in order to go into 1080. And finally it did. So I said, that's why I told a couple of you guys, go ahead and check it now. It should be fine. So, but yeah, my God, man. It was that close to going, oh my God, I could go over this again. And I ended up getting it up there late on, like I said, last night. And I apologize for that, guys. I did everything I could, but we had to get out of the house, had to go run a couple errands, and I didn't get back until later and, whatever. But it is what it is. I finally got it out for you guys. I really wanted to get out. I was frustrated I couldn't. I wanted to get it around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it didn't turn out the way. But I was actually glad I got it out. So, Gerard McDonald. Hey, Chris. Hey, Great Mars video. Just watched your old video on Jupiter moon Dion and Pluto's moon Charon. Outstanding, mate. Well, I appreciate that, man. I think if everybody, I know you guys have said this because you said this in my comment section. You're saying, hey, you know what? We're starting to see piece by piece by piece, there's life in this whole solar system. And if it's here, then it's definitely, no doubt, it's everywhere. You know what I mean? Think about it. It's crazy. Like I said, the more I see these different things on different planets, now, whether there was life or still, it doesn't matter to me. The whole point is if there's proof of it, then again, guys, we're part of something much larger. We're part of a much larger picture. And to me, it makes me feel good inside and bigger inside because knowing that we're not just this little, these little ants on this mote of dust, floating around in the galaxy, the solar system or whatever, and then of course it gets a lot better and bigger, the universe. So yeah, crazy. Val, what's going on? Good to have you. Good to see you in there. What the heck was that too? Okay, this thing just jumped on me. I almost read this thing wrong, but anyway. Hugs to you too. Good to have you in there. Eddie the Eagle. Hey, Chris, did you check out last Secure Team Mars video about Smoking Gun? What do you think? They must do great work, much like yourself. Well, I don't know. I mean, I looked at it, but here's the problem with a lot of that stuff. If you go to, I'm not saying all of it is, because don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of the Google photos have been messed with on a big scale. I saw that and I was kind of disappointed, to be truthful with you, only because it kind of looked like it could have been because a lot of times they stitch them photos too, right? So in other words, they get all these real photos, supposed real photos of Mars, stitch them together. And then of course you could have these blocks, they get blocky and it just happens to be in that area. And I think they use it as a cave underground entrance, whatever it might've been. Kind of disappointed. I was just like, well, I'm not quite feeling it there, but I'm not saying it couldn't be a entrance to there. I just didn't think that was, because if you look at a lot of that stuff, it doesn't look it's just weird, like cartoonish, if you will. It just doesn't look right. And maybe from a distance it would look like that. But to me, I just wasn't impressed with it, because you'd think you'd see much more around that entrance, right? Not just a square rectangular in the mountainside. So I don't know. you'd have to really scrutinize that to, you know what I mean? And then say, well, then make your own decision. What do you think it may be? Andromeda Native. Hey, Chris, what's going on? Good to have you in there. William Johnson, the manipulation fog was pretty thick. You're right about that, man. They laid that stuff on thick. Kind of like I said, if you look at China, the way they're doing their moon photos and Mars, I mean, the Mars photos, don't they look a lot alike? How they're manipulating and doing things. This is the reason why I said they're all working together. Uh, yeah, that's all there is to it. The space program itself, whether it's, I think it's independent of the country itself, meaning they're doing their own thing while the country itself does its own thing. So, and I think if they collaborate with each other, this is the reason why you see so much similarities in the way they cover up things. And, I think you guys would agree on that. Pachon, appreciate that, man. Wonderful work on the last video. Yeah, it took a bit of time, but we got her knocked out. Hey, Phil Cox with daughter Jessica and Kelsey Brown. Hi, Chris. Love the video today. Hi, everyone from Hull, England. What's going on over the big pond there? Good to see you in there this evening. Make sure here. All right. Make sure this. Okay. Just checking the other computer. Make sure everything's working fine. Keep up the great work, Chris. Pyro Boys, what's going on, man? Appreciate that, bro. Thomas Morris, hello. Paul McKenzie, hey, good to see you in there, man. Oh man, B Baker could we maybe get some hackers to get 100,000 Mercury pitches that aren't available, maybe anonymous? Believe me, that's actually crossed my mind. I said, man, I wish these guys would hack this shit. I mean, you know what I mean? Don't get me, it's wrong to do that, but I mean, you're saying to yourself, but these guys are so wrong for hiding it from us. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of like, just go ahead and hack that for me, will you? I wouldn't be able to do it, but I know these guys are like brilliant in the way they do some of this stuff, hacking to different things, what is it? Mick Bransby. Hey, Chris. I thought your latest video was fantastic. I was just wondering if what looked like tiny dwellings were actually a lot further away in the distance than they seemed or not. Well, I thought that too, but I mean, a lot of those, if you looked, the rover was right there. Now, is it possible that the camera could distort the distance, even though you can actually see the actual part of the rover? I think that's a big possibility. And I think that's the same thing that's going on with the Curiosity rover, right? We're seeing what looks like mountains and stuff like that. You got Mount Sharp, you got the base of it. And I don't think that's the case. I think that stuff is much closer than it appears. I do not think that is a mountain. I'm not saying it, the mountain doesn't exist. I'm just saying that what we're seeing in the photos is not Mount Sharp. I think what we're seeing is stuff that's much closer to that rover, and they're looking at individual things laying right there in front of it. And I think that's the case, and not what looks like something far, far off in the distance. I think within a quarter mile at best. Because again, remember when, like the Curiosity itself, when it landed, it had to go about a mile and a half to get to the very base. Now, there's arguments about where the base really is, because there's actually a dip. It goes like this here, and then it drops down in this valley, and then it starts to go up. So I think at the very base of it is about a mile and a half. So if they're already went to the base, now they're running horizontally or running along the base of it, then they're already there. There's no distance to go up. I mean, unless once they find their way, they're supposed to find their way up into the mountain itself. So, yeah, I think the objects we're seeing are not that far away at all. And I think they're much bigger and I've always said most of those photos, it appears that they're, like I said, I always use the analogy, it looks like a car lot, because you can see what these dunes, they're all like lined up all the way down. How does that happen? On a dune? I don't think so. We've got dunes here on Earth, no matter where you go, and you never see them lined up like this all the way around, all the way down, and then there's some right behind it as well. It's too bizarre to be natural. Let's just put it that way. Nacho Libre, there are so many people, you said, there are so many people doing this now, and it has so much intention. This cannot stay covered up forever. We need more viewers and more people doing it. I agree. And that's what I say. That's why I say I always tell you guys spread the word, because whether it be on your Twitter or whatever, this, that, and the other, hell, make your own Twitter account with just, anomalies. Think about it. If it won't spread through YouTube, we can spread it other places. I've got mine up on my Twitter. So, I got mine. It automatically goes up there every time I upload. So it does here on YouTube as well as my Twitter page. But the thing is, you have to spread the word. Because if they're going to try to restrict us, which I don't understand, because here's the thing. I just watched a video today about how they're limiting or they're not allowing it's like conspiracy videos. Like they say, if it had anything to do with violence, obviously real trash talk, people getting beat up, whatever it might be, or heavily political, or, things like that. And I'm thinking to myself, hell, I don't fit into any of that. You know what I mean? And of course, when they say conspiracy, they mean like big time, like, John F. Kennedy was faked, or, 9/11, or things like that. Or they're talking about people how got killed in these sad circumstances, right? And so I don't fit into any of those categories as far as that. So why is my, video, if it is part of the list, which I believe it is, you don't. In fact, I want to ask you guys a question. Have you guys seen that? Like, if you go to, let's say you put Mars in a search box on YouTube, do you see mine in the suggested videos? I'd be wondering. I'm curious what you guys say, because if not, I'm going to go over to Twitter. I'm going to talk to these guys of these YouTube guys that actually run this as far as censoring and everything else. I'm going to say, hey, listen, I don't know why my videos on that list. I don't fall into any of those categories. I simply take photos. I look at them. I see something anomalous. I point out, I think what it might be, and then I ask you guys to weigh in on what you think. How is that conspiracy? All I'm saying is that, yeah, the stuff's being hidden. It's not a conspiracy. I'm backing it up with fact, with their own photos. That's not a conspiracy. That's straight up facts, right? But like I said, how many of you guys go on there, and if you put like, I don't know, photos of Mars or Mars, don't put Mars anomalies, because my video itself will come up my channel. But I'm just saying, like, if you put on latest, Martian news or anything to do with planets, do you guys see any mine come up there saying suggested this is what you should watch and being mine? I checked it out. I couldn't find, I don't think, one. So what's that tell you? Been on a little blacklist. Not good. Stuart Henderson, good evening from Scotland. What's going on there, brother? Good to have you in there. Doom Punk said, good afternoon, evening, everyone. Great work. Great work you do. Thank you. Appreciate that, B. Baker. I have, Thomas Morris. You said from Florida. You put on there, Chris, have you ever done a video of the face on Mars? Yes, I have. The face of Cydonia. The one I did, this is a while back, and it's almost like they had that face, at least in that photo. I'm not saying the original one, from the orbiter. The original one, I believe, is the correct one. If you look at the one after that, they say, well, no, it's a trick of light. And now when you look at it, it looks so CGI'd, it's sad, right? So I actually studied that a little bit more, and what looks like either you can, at least the one in that photo, when you go through it, it looks like there's thousands of structures sitting around that whole area. It's crazy. I put it up there, I'm guessing it goes back a couple, 2-3 years ago at least. You'd have to just go into the search box on my page and just put face of Cydonia or the face on Mars, I think it was, and it should pop up. You should see it. Jose Molina, you put on there, Chris, I've always wondered what type of software NASA and other agencies use to manipulate their photos. What do you think? Well, from what I understand, they started off with GIMP, okay? They started off with that, but I think they have something much more extravagant. I'm talking about way back in the day. I think they use something much more extravagant, and something like it probably has these algorithms. It just does it automatically. The photo comes through, and anything that looks, maybe it's got this, recognizing software. It can just recognize things that are not normal, like a rock, and can actually just filter that right out. And of course, they got a CGI department the size of Godzilla. Like I said, I think they laid off like 250 people in the CGI department. It's like, okay, if they laid off 250 people, how many damn people are in that? It makes you wonder how many people are doing these things. Yeah, that's right. So something to think about. William Johnson, you said, I want to see more. Well, more's coming up. 12-foot wall. What's going on, man? Appreciate the the donation and the support, brother. What do you think about the moon and the Saturn wave? I don't know. To be truthful with you, when I seen the wave on the moon, now several people have done this. A lot of times, like one person had done it. God, what was his name? Goes back a couple of years. Now he's doing just regular blogs and vlogs and stuff like that. God, what was his name? Crow777. Now I subscribed to him. I thought everything was copacetic, you know what I mean? I'm just looking, I'm saying, man, this guy is on something here, man. He's on to something big time. So as I watched it, and then I started seeing these people going, oh, you don't understand. This guy lives next to an airport. I'm thinking to myself, airport. Now, I looked at that, and all you got to do is look at, what do they call that? Jet wash. In other words, when you see a jet pass in front of the moon or the sun, you'll see this waviness. And if you do that, and you're looking through, now I want you to picture you're down here, this little person down here, and here's a jet going by the moon. Now you have a telescope looking through this. So now the jet wash wouldn't look tiny, right? It would look huge. But now as you're watching the moon, okay, you're watching the moon, you're going to see this jet wash go by, and he just happens to record it at that point, and you see this. You got this weird, just look at it. People who put, you can look it up on Google. I'm sorry, on YouTube too. And I forgot what it's called. There was a guy who literally lives next to an airport, does all kinds of videos on that particular topic. And he did it one time. And he said, go ahead and check this out because you're going to see the same similarities to this, lunar wave. And I'll be darned if he wasn't right. It looks identical. People are like, well, it doesn't look exactly like his. It looks a little different. Well, you know what I mean? You still have this atmospheric distortion here from Earth, right? Plus, if you get a jet wash, goes right in front of your telescope, what do you think you're going to see? It's going to literally mess with that photo you're looking at. It's going to wave. And so I think that's what the deal is. Now, I haven't seen anybody. In fact, I asked these guys because one guy attacked me because I said, is it possible it's like a jet wash? And the guy attacked me. And he was working with this gentleman at the time. One was from, at the time, Crow was, I think, close to Arizona or California in the West Coast. And the other guy was in the East Coast. I said, I'll tell you what I'll do for you guys. I'll be willing to make a wager that when the moon's out, if one particular night it's clear on both of you call each other up. Yeah, it's clear for me. Good for you. Okay. And record this. I promise you guys both won't see the same thing. You won't. Not at the same time. I can almost make a wager on it and never heard a thing from him. So, I'm not saying that there's no such thing. It could very well be. But I don't know. I see a whole bunch of, it just seems like a lot of deceitful kind of thing going on. I don't know. William Johnson, you put on there, I hope you do part 2. Well, it may very well be one coming up. So, yeah. Hi, Chris. Let me see. Stuart Henderson, you put on there. Hi, Chris. What would be your response if a NASA photo editor were to get in touch wishing to share unedited material with you? Would you take it? That would be 1,000% yes. I've actually said this one time too. They said I think one of you guys asked me, said, what would you do if they said, if they said to you, we can show you an unedited photo, but you have to stop today. In other words, you can't show this photo to your subs and you literally got to stop your channel today. Man, that's tough because it's almost like the Apollo astronauts when they went to the moon. How in the hell? How do you not share that with somebody? I mean, yeah, it would make me happy, like, oh my God, I was, everything I've been saying has been true, but I wouldn't be able to share it with anybody else. That would be the frustration. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough question. Marvin Morgan, hi, Chris, was watching Mafugu. I'm not sure what that is, but all right. Andrew Culver, your last video kicks ass, Chris. Well, I appreciate that, man. Man, this thing just jumped like sky high when I said okay. Philly Drone Life, love this stuff. Thanks so much for the info, my friend. Well, I appreciate you being there and watching, man. Trying to get out what we can find, get out the truth. I'm not sure. You put on the Andromeda native, Chris. Is there a monolith on Mercury? Not that I am aware of. I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm not aware of any. You said you put on there. I know of one on Mars, one on the moon, one on the asteroid. How many monoliths are there? Well, Mercury monolith. See, I don't know. I'm not aware of any. But I'm sure if we looked hard enough and looked really scrutinized the heck out of these, I think we could find one. But if you look at a lot of these photos of Mercury, man, they're a lot of them, like it shows like the actual planet itself, but it looks like so CGI'd over. You literally have to blast through this thing, and it'll take a long time to get through some of these, and then some of them not so much. But the photos they did take, when I say not so much, it turned out that they're not, they're not of any value. There's nothing in them, right? I don't know. Scotty B, the things I find absolutely amazing. I would not have the eye without help from people like Chris here and Art Alien. Have my eyes wide open now. And I'm glad that it is that your eyes are open there, Scott, because here's the thing, man. Like I said, before I really started looking at these photos, I was just kind of like, there's no way, man. I'm just looking at one photo one day. I said, there's no way. That doesn't even look right, because it took my mind could not wrap the situation around, man. It just couldn't wrap around it, because I'm going, there's no way this is in this photo, man. Come on. So I looked at it again. Then I said, well, let me just start to enhance these photos. This is before I started doing videos. I started doing it more and more. And I was like, man, that doesn't make sense. Why is this thing in this photo? So I was actually afraid to start doing videos, because I'm going, what happens if people don't see what I see? Now, I don't care that, people have their own opinions, because that's what I want. But I said, but the way these things are being hidden, would they be able to see it the same way I did? So this is the reason why I started to enhance and say, follow the lines, draw the lines, and this way I can have you guys see the same, or do you see something different? That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? We'll all look at it, attack these things, dissect them, and then come up with, a whole picture, right? And that's what it's all about. Guys, check out this newly released government file after the show, of course. Let me see. Oh, I think I remember seeing this. Doompunk. I think I remember seeing this. I'll go ahead and put this in there too, in case the people, yours comment jumped way up. I'm going to go ahead and add this. That's going to jump there, and I'm going to go ahead and add this here. It's basically a document, so you guys can check that out. It's not very long, but it is there nonetheless. Last Dinosaur, what's going on? Hey, Chris, just tuned in. Well, appreciate you being here, man. Mark Horowitz, you put on there, what do you think about Space Force? I think we've had it since the 80s. They talk about it like it's something new, and I don't think that's the case at all, unless they're doing a separate branch of it. Now, again, they had the Star Wars program back in the 80s, and I don't believe that it's ever stopped. I mean, unless they're going to do it, like I said, a separate branch, that's a good possibility, but we've had that since the 80s. They're just rehashing it, so to speak. They're just, putting a different spin or a different name on it. That's basically, what I think. Scotty B, I want you to be a Space Force Ranger. That wouldn't be a half bad idea. I wouldn't mind going out there and doing these things. That'd work. Moonman, you put on there when we see real pictures of Moon and Mars. I guess it's a question there, but soon, I hope. That would be great. You can find them, but again, you got to do the work, man. They're covering these stuff, whether they're washing the photos, like on the moon, you always see that white haze over everything. So, they're whitewashing these things out. They're hiding things. They're doing their best to hide this stuff. I don't understand why they don't just come out with the truth. I'm sure it's much deeper than what we're thinking. But, if they're, and one of you guys said this earlier, I don't know if it was on my comment of that video or just now through here on the chat. In fact, we'll go ahead and do this. Make sure it's all live here. Make sure. Let me see. The thing just jumped and screwed me up now. Let me see. Now I just lost my train of thought because I'm just looking at another one that just totally jumped on me here. Now I'm looking at there's so many questions and comments. You guys are great, man. You just like jumping right in there and say, boom. I think I just found it. Like I said, you have to dig for it, Moon Man. You have to really dig into these photos and really check it out because they're really doing their darndest to hide this stuff, man. And it's sad because, like I said, I'm sure there's much more to it. And when you guys stated earlier, what I was getting at was that you said, well, if NASA doesn't quite know what this stuff is, then maybe they need to inspect it and scrutinize it a little bit more before they can let this stuff in the cat out of the bag, so to speak. And who knows? I hope it doesn't take too long before they do that and say, "Okay, we got everything straightened out." Oh, by the way, guys, there was a civilization. Like I said, I wouldn't even care if they said, "Oh, they came along what looked like human bones," and that's the end of it. In other words, they didn't say another thing about you know uh, structures or anything like that, or they found what looks like it's a maybe it's rocks, but the way they're set up looks like intelligent beings done it. Throw that little bone here and there, guys. And I know, and believe it or not, somebody said, Chris, you can almost bet NASA's watching these, and I believe that they are. And I think they may be, and you guys have said this yourself, I think they're using you as a pawn there. You can actually, to help you get the word out and desensitize, the public to this stuff. And of course, it's not just me doing this, right? There's a lot of other people starting to do it, as you guys have actually said. So, yeah. Crazy here. Who knows? But interesting. Yep, absolutely. Diane Moore. What did I miss? We're just throwing some hashing around with Space Force and stuff like that. We're talking about my latest video, and discussing what we thought they were and stuff like that. Yeah, let's see. So I'm glad you made it, Diane. Good to see you in there. Stan Bradley put, this must take up a lot of your time. Much appreciated. Very enjoyable. Well, I don't mind it because I like interacting with you guys. And, you have to love this stuff because you're not going to want to do it. I mean, it's really time consuming. You're behind the computer for X amount of time. It's like you either have it in your blood, it's your passion, or yeah, you just don't want to do it, period. Because it does take, because anybody could just sit behind the computer and go, let's look at the latest, photos here of Mars and stuff like that. And yeah, anybody could do that. But when you say, man, I just want to scrutinize these things and then make videos and pass it along. Yeah, it's like, and that's what I love doing, man. It's a hobby of mine. Smash the love button, guys. Philly Drone Life has said, that's right. Smash that like button. Much appreciated. I'm not even sure how you OBX Lady 1. Hi, just been watching your videos and really enjoy your outlining little things that many would miss. Thanks for your good videos. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I've actually gotten some people will give me crap about that. Oh, look, you're just making lines. He's making outlines. Yeah, I'm trying to show the people what's there. Why else would you do it? I'm trying to get people to see what I'm seeing. And then, of course, they can make their own decision what it may be. Or do they think it's bigger than that? Maybe I missed some lines to it or whatever. So either way, we work together and get this stuff out, right? And that's how I do it, man. I get the input from you guys as well. That's what makes a channel, man. It's not just me. Greetings from Wales, UK. Anthony Thomas has said, well, appreciate you being in there, Anthony. Philly Drone Life says, from Philadelphia, PA, Pennsylvania, USA. Welcome, guys. Nice to meet you all. Well, good to have you in there, man. Good to have somebody, all these newcomers come in there. It's good to see you guys. Robert Morgan, you put in something really weird just went on with your feed. First it cut off, came back, but live chat wouldn't work. Thankfully, it came back. Well, it seems to be working all right. I've got, like I said, I've got my other computer, which is totally independent from this one, right here on the bench. And yeah, I've been watching all this time. It seems to be working all right. It's hard to tell, man. You get a hiccup in probably different parts of the world or country or whatever. It's hard to tell, right? Photography, Light and Magic, you said, do you think the manipulation is automated? Maybe that's why they leave half the stuff. I've thought about that. I think that the rover itself or the rovers had their own software, and maybe they could do it on board because it said that they can, basically photo stack, which is basically Z stack, in which you take the original and stack, 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 stack. And the reason why they do that is like they'll take a photo of the distance, excuse me, of the distance, and they want to make sure it's clear. Then they'll take one of the foreground, make sure it's clear, midsection clear. So now when they get all of these clear from distance, mid, maybe half the distance from, further away, and then of course you got your foreground, you put them all together, you get yourself a clear photo. So I don't think that's the case at all. I think that they're manipulating these things. I don't think it gives them the way to, if you get the original photo here, you get one identical to the original. And then what you do is you take this one, and it could be like an acetate like they used to do way back in the day in the Apollo days, and they can just manipulate the way they want, or they could just drop almost a transparent digital picture over it, and then they could just manipulate whatever they want out of it, and then they just overlay it. So you still have the original photo, you just have the manipulated one over it. So and I think the actual rovers can actually do that themselves. In fact, the Curiosity can. And how do we know it doesn't have an algorithm that automatically blocks out what looks naturally made? You know what I mean? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what kind of software and how high tech these things really are, right? Phil Cox says, "Hey, Philly. What's up, Phil Cox? Nacho Libre. Is it all right for me to share a link to the channel that do some really interesting findings? This particular one is of a gorilla. Yeah, drop the link. I think I know which one you're talking about, though. There's more than that. I've done a video about that. And I think I even put on there, this is not a gorilla or something like that, because there was much more to it than that. Just that what looks, because it does. It actually does look like this weird gorilla type thing. Yeah, drop the link, Nacho Libre. And what was funny about it is when you look at it, like you're just looking at that gorilla, it's like the elephant in the room, right? You look to the left, it looks like there's structures and other mechanical things all laying over there. So it's not just that. It's almost like they put that there so you focus on that. Again, the elephant in the room, only it's a gorilla, right? But even that gorilla thing, it seems to be much more than that. It's weird when you really break it down. I think I even done a video about that. Alex VG, hello from Minnesota. Could you clarify if you think space is fake or if you believe is that space is real, but most images, photos are manipulated? Yeah, absolutely. Space is the real deal. The reason, well, when I say the images are manipulated, I mean like the ones from the planets or the moons. I think that they're there. I think the photos are real. And I think when they get them, they're pristine, meaning high def quality. But after they work their magic, if you want to call it that, and after they manipulate certain areas out and leave the rest of it in there, the public doesn't see what's really in the photos. So in other words, photos are real. They're there, but they're just not letting the public see what's really in them. And that's the problem I'm having with it. They're not telling the whole truth about what they're really finding on the moon back in the day. Different planets they've been on, whether it be the Venera missions from the Soviet Union, all our crafts we sent to Venus, which I just done a video about not too long ago. All of these places that they've been to, they've been there. No doubt they did the missions and everything else. Space is definitely the real deal. They're just not being 100% transparent as what they're finding on these planets and moons, right? All right, Tommy, I got you. You said, Chris, I've sent you the photograph I worked on. Okay, cool. I'll check it out. Alex G. Okay. Okay. Philly Drone Life, number 13, my friend. All righty. Cool. Matt Hastings, you put on there. Howdy, Chris. Got a question. Have you ever been threatened in effort to silence your wonderful efforts of disclosure? No, I haven't. I can't say that I have. This is the reason why it makes me wonder, because you would think, guys, Men in Black or whatever, or just weird things. I mean, every now and then you get this weird thing, but it may be just merely coincidental with the computer. Like I said, when I was doing that video yesterday, I've actually had my computer just go haywire on me one day where it looked like these pictures were being moved around. I was like, what the hell's going on? I instantly shut the thing down. I didn't care if it corrupted the thing. I just pull the cord or just shut the main line right off. And but other than that, I don't know what that was all about. That kind of was like, what? But as far as being threatened, never had that happen. And of course, don't get me wrong, I still keep my eyes open. I mean, you just really can't tell. But it makes you wonder if they are using channels like myself and maybe others as well. Again, are they using this just as pawns just to get this information out? Whether it's 100%, meaning on the right on the money, or if it's kind of around that and they're just trying to get the information out like a slow drip disclosure type thing, could very well be, right? It's hard to tell. So they may be using this for that. So if you think about it, why would they threaten us? They're just like, yeah, go ahead and slide them in and throw them a couple bones here and there, and they'll let them get that information out. And I'm happy. If they are doing that, great. Send more of it. I mean, that's the way to do it, right? Moon Man, what is going on the dark side of the moon? That's an awesome question. I think they're, like I said, I've done that. One of my last moon videos was about China's Chang'e 4 as well as its U2 rover up there, the Jade Rabbit, and I don't think they're up there for just simple, they're doing these research on the science studies on the moon. I don't think that's the case at all. From what I've seen, I mean, they badly manipulated this photo, and I believe that, they're looking at structures, something there. You can see it, and you can just see the lies. If you haven't seen that video I've done, check it out. Like I said, it was a Chang'e 4. China's. I did this not too long ago, so you'll find it pretty easy. Just go back a few from my latest, and you'll find it. But they're lying. I mean, when I say lying, they're covering up the truth. I hate to bash these guys for doing such a thing, but you know what? I'm only stating a fact. You know what I mean? They're just hiding this stuff from the public. I don't hate NASA. A lot of people go, what do you mean you don't hate NASA? You must hate these guys like with a passion. No, I love innovation. I love the fact that they're reaching out into space. I love that they're sharing or helping, or there's a collaboration what's going on to get us more and more things out in space and travel and everything else. I love everything about NASA. I just don't like the deception. I just don't like the idea that they're not telling the public the whole truth. Maybe, I'm sure they got their reasons. They wouldn't be hiding it, right? So the only thing I can think of is that is really good reason, and that maybe they're not 1,000% sure what the stuff is either. So they're just analyzing it, checking it all out, and maybe within 20 years, I hope not. Soon, maybe within years, we'll see it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Philly Drone Life. Yeah, there's so much disinformation. People just don't get it. Yeah, you're right, man. And that's what we're trying to expose. That's what I try to do on this channel. Try to, get out this disinformation and say, listen, this is what they're saying, but this is what's really going on. And then, of course, I ask you guys what's going on. Give me your take on it. What are you seeing in these photos, so on and so forth. Because to me, I've seen it too many times. That at first, like I said, I thought it was just me going, well, maybe I'm just seeing things, no big deal. But then after I seen it more and more, I'm going, wait a minute, this can't be a coincidence. There's no way. And like I said, when you see half these things that's in the photos and the blatant blurring, like just my latest video, I mean, you just can't help but to go, really? I mean, it's weird how they do that shit, but they're doing it, and they're doing anything they can to hide this stuff. But I love the idea that every now and then this stuff is coming out. They'll throw you a bone on this. In other words, they don't manipulate it as heavy. They don't go really heavy on some of the obfuscations, and it's awesome because that's what I want to see. I want to actually be able to pull it out easily and be able to show you guys. And then it makes you wonder, like some of you guys said, oh, why don't they just come up with the goddamn photos and just show point blank, here it is. But I think there'd be too much of a shock factor for some of these people, right? Yes and no. When you said that, Philly Drone, you said, but you're giving the conspiracy support. That's the problem, my friend. The support of the conspiracy. Again, it'd be one thing if I said, NASA's lying, and that was it. In other words, I didn't say anything else, or show facts. Then I go, well, you're just a conspiracy. You're saying this, but saying you're not doing anything to back it. Then you are a conspiracy theorist, because anybody can talk any kinds of crap, but when you go, well, wait a minute, let me show you how they're doing it and what they're doing. Is it still a conspiracy, or are you showing facts? And is it the truth? See, there's a fine line between that. And I think that once you expose them and you show the actual stuff, you know, when you say, well, they're manipulating, they throw this blur over it, and people go, yeah, right, sure. But then you go show it, and then they go, oh my God, it's right there. You can see it. And like I said, this latest video I just did, I mean, it's so blatant, it just slaps you right in the face. And to me, that's not conspiracy, that's fact, especially when you can see it for yourself. Now, if they put me under that guideline, um, I don't know. I guess I would sort of understand that, but that doesn't make any sense. And like I said, when they talk about, like I said, these people getting hurt in 9/11, that was fake, blah, 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 blah. That's conspiracy, man. I mean, that's, to the max. And all of these, like I said, these heavy political, videos about shooting. Ah, man. I mean, to me, I don't think we fall under that list. There's a lot of us that do not fall underneath that conspiracy list. You're right there, photography, light, and magic. If they don't want people to scrutinize their photos, don't upload them for people, idiots. And you're right, because, and I've said this myself, and a lot of you guys have said that. Why even show the photos then? You know what I mean? Again, I think it's slow disclosure. If you could pull anything on, it's almost like they're leaving breadcrumbs, like, no, we're going to show you this, but we're going to make you work for it. We're going to make you try to find it. It's not going to be, it's like, where's Waldo kind of thing. They're going to make you try to find this. And if you can't, oh, well, then you don't want to know enough. You know what I mean? You don't have enough drive to find the truth. So you're just, so piss on you, basically. If you don't want to do the work to find it, then you don't, you know what I mean? You're really not interested in it. You just don't want to know. So, and I think that may be the logic behind it. Space Cadet. Almost thought it was my other buddy there, Space Cadet, was doing videos. Hello from British Columbia, Canada. Great videos and work exposing the truth. I appreciate that. Yep, trying to get it out, man. That's what it's all about. Kristen Resells, you said, have you seen Richard Dolan's new video on UFO disclosure documents? Can't say that I have. I'll have to check that out. Because every now and then I'll bounce over there and see what he's got. I'll have to check it out. See, that's what I was saying, Scotty B. Yeah, you put on there, even when I type Mars anomalies, it pulls up one video, and the suggestion list on the right shows not one other Mars anomalies videos. It's crazy. It's exactly what I'm saying. They put they say, okay, we'll take this channel. We don't need to suggest his videos anymore. And that's not good, because more and more people not seeing these. You know what I mean? And it's like you're trying to get as much of the public to see this so you can make them aware. And so they're kind of hindering that effort, because and of course it's speculation, like we were just talking about, how NASA is trying to use people like myself as pawns. Well, isn't YouTube kind of throwing a wrench in the spoke, so to speak? Not helping, right? And like I said, this is the reason why I tell you guys, man, get this stuff out. It's what it's all about. The more people see it, the more they spread it, and the more they see it, and it wakes other people up. And that'd be doing your part, because you just woke another person up. It's not about me. It's about getting these other people to check the stuff out, right? All right. Yeah, more. Yeah, I mean, you said you just put Mars on, and you're first on mine. Well, here's the thing: you can put on there Mars anomalies, and because a lot of people actually have Mars anomalies in their title, meaning they're showing actual anomalies, and you'll probably bring up my video. But if you put on there like moon, like photos of the moon, you see people doing like telescope work. You'll see people just using a P1000 or the P900, looking at the moon with their cameras, and then. But you should see like suggested in there, like my moon videos, because a lot of times if it's anything you continually to watch, like whether it's space videos and everything, mine should pop up. You may like this, and it'll be suggested to you. A lot of times you don't see that. That's what's crazy. Chris Blake, you put on there. Hi, Chris. I'm Chris from UK, England. Love your videos. Last one was awesome. Question: do you think there is liquid water on the surface, i.e., pools, puddles, etc.? Absolutely. I've done a video a while back, which you can actually see like the small puddle, and there's a couple of rocks around it, and of course it's all that orangey, pukey color, right? but you can see the reflection of the rocks in it, this smooth area right in front of it. And I believe this may be some of the reason why the opportunity and those photos on that last video I just showed you guys, that all you see is nothing but blurring other than the wheel marks. All you see is blurring between the wheel marks and everywhere else. Why is it that so clear, but everything else is completely blurred? I think there's organics, meaning grass. There could be insects, could be animals, could be anything. It makes you wonder, why would you blur such a thing? And only, you got the the wheels on the actual rover, and of course parts of the rover, you can see pretty decent clarity. And you've got the wheel marks. Everything else is complete trash. Why is that? Why would they go out of their way to do that unless they're trying to hide something? That's not a conspiracy. That's a fact. You can see this yourselves. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this stuff out, right? You're right, Tommy. Yeah, it can't be that sophisticated if their manipulations look like crap. I agree with you and I disagree. And the reason why I disagree is because, again, I don't think that they figured people were going to really go through these things and scrutinize the hell out of them like that. I mean, people, not just myself, are really picking these things apart. And they're finding some crazy things in these. So, yeah, they're doing a haphazard job, a real half-ass, to be honest with you. They're really doing a really sad job of it. But they look at it this way. You know what? Looks like crap, but can you see the anomaly in the photo? No, you can't, right? Job's done. And that's the way they look at it, because as long as you can't see the object, they just go, what are they going to say about it? It's blurry. If you can't see an anomaly, we just covered up. We've done our job. So it's as simple as that. Bob Wire, you put in there, wow, Justin, thank you, Chris, for your work for at least 5 years now and streaming now. Well, I appreciate it, Bob. Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is a hobby of mine. I enjoy doing it. And I love how you guys get in there and do the same, whether you're scrutinizing the photos yourself or, you're just commenting, throwing your ideas back and forth with each other, as well as myself. Some of you guys are going on Facebook, my Facebook page, and showing the stuff you found. Now, I had somebody get kind of angry with me, like, oh, man, forget about it. I try to get a hold of you. I guess they sent me things during the week. I said, to be honest with you guys, I'm not trying to ignore you. I'm just, a lot of times I don't get to it till the end of the week between working and then doing these videos. It's hard to get to those by email, Twitter. I mean, it's all kinds of crazy things, man. So you try to balance it out. You try to get to everybody. And I did get back to him, and he said, all right. And there's a couple of people. In fact, I ordered, yeah, I'll be all right. I answered everybody on my Facebook page. I don't want you guys to think I'm ignoring you, because I'm not. I try to make my rounds and, thank every one of you guys and, and take your work. And if you ask me what you think is in the photo, and I'm honest with you, I tell you, straight up. I don't try to BS you and fluff it anyway. I just tell you like it is. And a lot of times you guys have come up with some crazy stuff, some good stuff. Some of you guys even said, man, I got my own, start my own channel soon. That's awesome. Just tell me if you do start a channel, I'll check it out and I'll suggest a channel to you to get you kicked off. You know what I mean? If you're doing honest to goodness work and you're trying to show the public this stuff, by God, I'll back you. Scotty B, you said, what happened to Crow 777? I don't know, to be truthful. Some people said he's been, what was that word they used? Compromised. Because he was, like the lunar wave. He's showing all kinds of things. It looked like it's traversing over past the moon and all kinds of other stuff. He's doing great. All of a sudden, think the moon's a hologram. I don't think it's real. I'm like, well, talk about a turn of events. I mean, I was like, what? Excuse me. I even questioned that myself. I'm like, well, how do you go from, hey guys, look what I found. Looks like spacecraft. Looks like this. He had one that looked like you can actually see what looked like the engines actually firing. And it was right next to the moon, well, between the Earth and the moon, of course. But, I mean, all kinds of crazy things. It looked like UFOs traversing, going by the actual lunar surface above the moon. And then all of a sudden he just quit. Well, I think, the moon's a hologram and, it's fake. And I'm like, what? What? I know he said at least that, or it's transparent, it's fake, or something. It's a hologram. I don't know. I said, okay, he might have went off the deep end on this one. I don't know. So then he went to vlogs and he's doing talks about other stuff. So I don't know. I think I'm even still subscribed to him. The guy's a good guy. He's a good guy himself, but I just don't understand how it just big time flip around. I don't know. Well, William, you put on there, YouTube needs to recognize your videos as pursuit of enlightenment or intellectual pursuit. Well, and that's what I'm saying, man. I mean, I think there's a fine line between, like I said, conspiracies and making a claim, but as long as you're backing it, it's not really conspiracy, right? Like, let's say they said, no, we have absolute proof that 9/11 was fake. Oh, really? And you literally seen these guys walk in there, plant these explosives in these places. Guys literally find them, and somehow somebody found that video. Then you go, oh my God, look at, they just exposed it. They literally put these down. They used a controlled demolition, and this is how the buildings came down. Is it a conspiracy or is it fact? Because you just proven it to be true, and whatever that may be. If you proved it, is it still considered a conspiracy theory, or is it facts? That's the fine line. Pyro Boys, you put on there, Chris, is there a connection with pyramids near the face on Mars, I'm sorry, and in Egypt or the Mayan culture? There is like this strong connection, and I think because if you look at the way they put these, like whether it be the Mayan city, Teotihuacan, you've got Egypt itself, the Giza Plaza, and you can see the way all of these pyramids are laid out. They're like in a constellation, the same constellation up in space. Well, even on Mars, it's the same thing. Were these people on Mars at the time seeing the same constellation, slightly different, but they would, as we did, and they did the same exact thing, and they put this face on Mars and stuff like that. I think there is. I think there's a strong connection with it. Janine Brogan, I'm back. All right, awesome. Your last video was enlightening. What a mess they make of their photos, and also we can't see the truth. Infuriating. I agree. There's nothing that frustrates me more. However, what I like is to be able to pull the stuff out. So the frustration gets overrun by a kind of excitement, kind of like, wow, this is awesome. Again, solidifying what I've been saying all along, that proving that they're literally, basically, I was going to say something else, faking these things out. I was going to say something else, manipulating and, basically I was going to say fogging it out, but because it does look like a fog in many of those things, right? Manipulation, obfuscation. So, it's like when you actually say, well, this is how they're manipulating. And then you could see it so blatant. You're going, yeah, that's what I'm saying. This one here, to me, hit it right on the head. And I know you guys agree because you've seen it yourself, just saying, oh my God, I can't believe how much manipulation that is. And it's so blatant, man. It's sad. It really is. B. Baker, you said a friend of mine who's a UFO researcher has a theory that the lunar wave thing is a flaw of optical effect from Nikon P900 of those type of cameras. And I heard the same thing. And they have that weird, well, I wouldn't call it an artifact, but yeah, it's kind of this flaw that the camera itself has in it. Not all cameras do it. But even then, you still have to deal with, like I said, if you live next to airports. And the only thing I said about his video that he did was, let's suppose for a moment, I'm doing the same thing. I got my, my camera. I've got my telescope, and I'm looking straight at the moon. All of a sudden, a jet goes by, and then I start recording. So now you don't see the jet. You just see the jet wash from the back of it. Well, then it does this, and it messes up the actual moon. Now, is it possible that's what he did, or is it real? Problem is, it's too easy to say, well, it looks like a jet wash, and that's what we're seeing. And you can look up, like I said, there's many people who do these. Just put lunar wave, and there's a guy on there, and I don't recall his name now because it's been a while since I've seen his video. And that's all he does. He talks about the 747s, coming in and out of an airport. He may be in the UK. I couldn't swear to that, but he puts that on there, and you can usually, and the way he does it, he usually has videos of planes taking off and, of course, landing back on the tarmac and everything else. But what you see is, you can see one jet like kind of turn, and you see the jet wash, and you can see the actual rippling effect on the moon. So is it possible that thing went by, and just as the jet went by, he took that particular video? Why doesn't he run it longer? Way before then? I don't know. But he may have something though. It might be something very similar to the wave, and that's what it's an easy way out just to say, well, it's because of jet wash. I don't know. It had to be something, that I don't. I know people who have telescopes who watch the moon quite a bit, and they don't see these lunar waves. Why? Everybody should see them, right? Even you got Bruce. Bruce sees all. I think he said he's seen it one time, but it's tough to say. Was it something that was in the sky at the time, and it just happened to, boom, wow, what is that? And didn't see the jet go by? I don't know. Or was it something else? It's a great question. I've looked through my own, telescopes. I've never seen it. Of course, I can't zoom up that close because I've got the smaller ones. But they're like only like 4.5 inches as opposed to 14, like Bruce has, which is awesome. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. Like I said, I confronted one of the guy that he's try to verbally beat me up, which I thought was funny. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, then fine. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm way off. Prove me wrong. Both of you do it at the same exact time. Make a live feed, you showing your feed, and then your feed at the same time. I want to see this. If you guys can prove that, then you guys got something. Because what's the chances of a jet flying in front of both of them at the same time or not? Right? One way or the other. If you guys can get together and do that, you got everybody. Boom. That's it. I mean, I would have said, totally agree. These guys are spot on. But I never heard another thing from them. Let's see. Gerard McDonald, you put on the, hey, Chris, I think that the we aliens see it as an invasion from us, Earthlings coming in with big rovers smashing their shit up. Well, and you might very well be right, man. Can you imagine that if they are small beings and they're there? Oh my God, that would have to be crazy. Like I said, let's suppose for a moment they're only like 5, 6 inches tall, and you see something the size of the Rover Curiosity. What would you think? What? I mean, I'd be like, what the hell is that? Of course, everybody tried to attack it, but it's so slow moving. Why not, right? But if there was something like a primitive thing, what are they gonna do? Hit it with little spears? I don't know. All right, let me go back down here. This thing just jumped on me big time here. Scotty B, I have pics of the moon through my telescope of some weird dark cloak or entity as it passes over a whole moon. I have no idea what it is. It's freaking weird. That is weird. I wouldn't mind seeing that myself. That's got to be goofy as hell. Be bigger, yeah. The jet wash might be a moon wave cause too, and that's what I think. I mean, I'm not saying that it's all that, but that's my take on it. That's what I believe it was, and I've actually done a video on that on my other channel I had, and I put on there, basically it was a hoax, because like I said, I even pointed to the guy's video, and then said, "Hey guys, check it out." And that's when the guy jumped on me. I said, "Well, then fine, I could be wrong. I could be way off base, man. Prove me wrong." That was it. I heard another word from him. Oh, okay. Miguel, yeah. Hey there, all. Miguel from France under night rain. Hope you got good weather. Yeah, we're actually pretty good here, man. It's cooling down a little bit. Only about 7 degrees. Well, it's about 76 degrees Fahrenheit right now, and 6 mile an hour winds. Not too bad, right? Let me see here. This thing just jumped on me. You guys are all over this. Okay, yeah, war crime. We'll check that out too. Let's see here. Oh, okay, yeah. At the photo of Pluto. Somebody else sent me that too. I'm gonna have to check that out. Go ahead and make that link live there. Let me see here. Oh, I love these trolls, George. George Powell. What are you talking about? Is it too many people died to have a piece of shite like you making fun of the situation? What situation did I make fun of, man? I love it. I love when these guys come on there and start talking trash. Please enlighten me. Yeah, and some of you guys, oh, hurry up. It's like, well, here's the thing. I mean, I don't, you guys are sharing this stuff. I want to make sure everybody can see this and read what, I'm reading everybody's and trying to um, get to everything. Stan, have yourself a good night, man. Glad you stopped in. Oops. Silly thing. Let me see here. All right, here we go. Yeah, war crime, no problem there. I just wanted to get that on there because I think people need to see a lot of these links, right? Um, a lot of people need to see different things, and whether you guys drop some good information there, I'm gonna I'll definitely make the link available. Jack T, you put on the I viewed your last video. It's unclear the distance from the rover to the structures. They do look like small cities. Do you believe the Martians are 3 inches tall? To be truthful with you, I've always said I've never seen such a thing. Um, and I didn't believe it at the time. But from what I'm seeing, man, it's either, like I said, in this last video I did, these look like either little structures or parts of intelligently made objects, meaning blown to pieces or whatever they may be. But some of the stuff, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but a lot of the stuff almost looked organized. Like that one, that had like a bunch of these little pieces, like they were like in different layers or different, platforms, so to speak. And they looked like they were organized, like they were put in place, like purposely. And it wasn't just like stuff just kind of exploded around and thrown all over the place. At least that's the way I saw it. I'm not saying you guys did, but I'm just kind of curious what you guys thought about that as well. But then I'm saying if those are structures, yeah, these beings must be like this freaking tall. I mean, is it possible? God only knows. It's hard to tell. I'm not a big fan of the idea of that, only because I would think they'd have to be if we're ancestral, meaning if we're coming from them. Because, like I said, I don't know if you guys believe in the theory of panspermia, where Mars took a hit, from a foreign body, it slammed the planet, exploded everything, and a lot of debris went out in space. And of course, you got microbial, and of course, all kinds of stuff like that on the rocks, and of course, it made it to Earth, started life here. Or we are, came from the planet knowing that there's a pending doom. And of course, they just came here and that was the end of it. They had to basically start from scratch because it's not like you can bring structures here and everything, right? So they did literally have to start from scratch. So I don't know. It's hard to tell. I've never seen anything. A lot of people see these little beings. I don't. Apparently, I don't have the eye for it. I have more of for like things that are mechanical and structural. I don't know. I'm not saying they're not there. I just don't see them like some people do. I don't know. But when I seen these, what looked like structures, I was just like, oh crap, look at this stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I said, maybe it's true. I even said it in the video, Let me see. Let me see here. Um, let me see. Well, William, yeah, you put on the pygmy civilization on a small planet. Could very well be. Like I said, I don't know. You know what I mean? We assume we know because what we have here on Earth, but that doesn't mean it's going to apply the same way on another planet, right? It's hard to tell. Oh yeah, I know. 250 Sabre. Yeah. Hey Chris, don't listen to the negative toads. They do it on purpose to jerk your chain. I've been on your channel. Yeah, I mean, you get these people all the time. You're gonna have these little trolls. They come in from other channels, think they're gonna stir it up and everything else, but they don't realize they're just pieces of shit. And I think it's amusing because they wait for that time. They're like, oh yeah, um, let's see if we can't piss this guy off or make him want to get off his feet. Are you kidding me right now? Shit. Makes me want to do it even more so. So keep at it. I love it. Troll God, if you don't like it, beat it. Nobody cares. Don't care. Go do something with your life. Billy Parker, do you ever send your evidence to TV networks? No, that other people have though. And to be truthful with you, a lot of these, whether it be CNN, other TV channels, so these big networks and stuff like that, they control what they can say. There's certain things that they can say and certain things they can't, and so that we're at the mercy of that. So I don't know. A lot of people have said they've sent different videos into these new news networks. Never get a word from 'em, so I'm just being real. Told seriously, troll God. Well, it says your name. Exactly know what you're up to. Yeah, we don't care. Uh, let's see. Eastward in Eden, does Mars uh, looks like it had a massive explosion happen long ago? Well, yeah. I mean, because even Dr. John Brandenburg had stated that back in 1941. He was himself behind a telescope, a large telescope, and said he saw what looked like two explosions in the atmosphere. And funny enough, like I said, the MRO, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, they sent it into the lower part of the atmosphere and sniffed and actually found this radiation in these two spots, one being next to the face on Mars in the Cydonia area. And the other one, again, I always forget the name. I'm going to have to just have it jotted down so I can remember. But just a little south and east of that area, there was a smaller explosion. Now, none of these were on the ground, they were midair. At least that's what they claim. And the rover actually could actually sense it too. It actually has on the instruments. It actually could see the radiation as well. So it makes you wonder. He sees it. It's here. The instruments pick it up. It's kind of confirming it, right? Yeah. Uh, William Johnson. It's a good theory, man. I don't know. I mean, it's good statement. Martian evolved from small burrowing animals, in my opinion. That's a good possibility if the atmosphere has always been the way it was, but the way NASA tells us that it was a lot like Earth back in the day. Of course, they go back millions of years ago. They're talking about. I don't think it's quite that long ago. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's been quite that long ago. And it could very well be that they had a lot of things on that planet, just like we have here. This is the reason why we're seeing similarities in some of these things, these structures and stuff, right? All right. Greetings from Austria, longtime viewer. Appreciate it there, shopper Andy. Glad you stopped in. Mr. CBXO. Hi, Chris. Thanks for your work. Well, I appreciate that, man. Billy Parker, no issues here. Doompunk. Juan Vasquez, hola from Phoenix, Arizona. Que pasa, amigo? What's going on? Glad you could stop in here. Hello, Weatherton, I'm sorry. I am hoping one day when they release a photo and it will not be messed with, they would be so cool. Well, and I agree. I mean, I would love to get my hands on these things where it's undoctored, not screwed with it at all in any way, shape, or form. That would be neat. That would be cool. I'd love to see that myself. Ian Walton, yeah, the big trench on Mars is a glancing impact which took its atmosphere away. Yeah, they come up with many theories. That could very well be. It's hard to tell because they said basically there was another planet or a body that actually scraped into the actual Martian surface, and of course, it created that valley. Valles Marineris is what it's called, and it literally just basically decimated the planet. Right? Um, Schrodingsman, Dingersman, inside information. There are small insects on Mars. They just haven't told the public. Well, I mean, if you're talking about like the very small flying things or anything like that, I've seen what looks like stuff like that in photos, and all you see what because you never see any real detail, but you can see what looks like a motion blur behind it, so you can actually see which way it's actually flying, right? But yeah, uh, yeah, exactly. Andromeda native, yeah. Chemical signatures of nuclear explosion on Mars soil. Absolutely, they found it, sniffed it in the air. It's there. There's no doubt about it. Hey, Chris, you put on the James put on there. Hey, Chris, what do you think about the U.S. will uh, go back on the moon by 2024, like they say? A lot of interest rather up there lately, and that's what I'm saying, man. It's just like if we've already been to the moon, okay, we looked at the lunar dust, took some rocks. They've left seismic equipment up there. Why else do you need to be there? What's the point? Now, I do understand that they're going forward, according to them. They're going forward and forward to build a moon base. I think China wants to do that soon in the 2020s. They want to do that themselves. I get that. But that's not what they're there for right now, and neither was the Apollo missions. They were not there for that. At least not going by the photos. If you go by the photos, they were not up there just looking for rocks. No way. No way, no how. And when you look at the actual official photos from the capsule itself, although they whitewashed a lot of it and you can bring a lot of the stuff out, oh my God, there's no way. There was things that crashed on that planet thousands of years ago, and you could see the way they're just kind of dilapidated, just laying there on their side. And you see some crazy, what look like crazy structures and everything. So and when you see Bruce's sees all channel, you can see what looks like little things just flying, in formation, independently flying through what looks like a fog or something like that. And they're over the lunar surface. So absolutely. I mean, I think they're still there, but I think they're underground. And I think things that come to that moon, either somehow they have problems and they can't take off the lunar surface or whatever. I don't know. It's all speculation, of course. But when you see these things laying on the surface, you go, what the hell happened to them? Why are they there? But they're there. Zappa 750. I used to scroll Mars, but Chris came along and said, "Hold my bear." Thank you, Gerald. Gerard, rather. Let me go ahead and make this bigger here. These things, I don't know why the picture could be so darn big on the screen, but everything on the side is always like really small. Gerard McDonald, I appreciate that. I appreciate the support there, bro. Keep up the great work. Have a bear on me. Will do, man. Appreciate that. Daniel Barlow, you put on there. Did you see the comment made by Satsuki in your latest video? I agree with the V and U shaped structure. Do you or do you not see them? I seen it. He actually, I'm almost positive he sent something to my Facebook, and I looked at it myself, and I said, I can see that. And I think I told him that I can see something there, but it's not clear. That's the problem. I see what looks like more V shape. Now he said something about U shape as well. I haven't really seen them too much, but I do see the V shape. In fact, I think he might even showed me a photo of what looks like that in the sky in the clouds. Is that the one you're talking about as well? If he showed you these photos, because I absolutely did see that. But again, there's really not a whole lot of clarity to it, so it's hard to see it. You understand what I'm saying? It's not that I don't see it; I see it, but there's not enough, detail to really make out what it is. Rockstar 8970 Abel. Cheers, guys. What's going on? Good to have you in there. Billy Parker also said, Gerard, I could use a beer also. Oh, I love it. The trolls are out tonight. I love it. You know darn well these guys are coming from other channels just to just stir it up. And I think it's amazingly amusing actually that these guys do that stuff. I think it's funny as hell. They just like, oh, hey, go whatever you do, go and attack that channel and just talk stupid. And they're good at it. They do it well. Gotta admit. Tommy Wiley, yeah, good night, guys. It's 1:26 a.m. Well, I appreciate you stopping by there, Tommy. Good to have you in there. Zappa 750, your thoughts on the NASA heli, Chris? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say, well, there's no way this thing could fly. I mean, I showed you in the last NASA photo I did that, like those video bites. So there was a bunch of, I think there was like nine. I think there was like nine of these NASA videos that they had in there. One of them was about the helicopter they're going to send up there. Now that thing's good size, man. That thing's like it's like this freaking big and got blades, dual blades. I think they turn counter from each other. And a lot of people are saying, well, how can it possibly do that on an atmosphere that doesn't have much of an atmosphere? Yeah, but it also has only 40% of Earth's gravity. So think about that. So yeah, you're lacking in atmosphere, but it's a plus on the gravity side. I think, and it's just me, but judging by what we've seen, how much I've researched about Mars and everything else I've found out, I believe there's more atmosphere than they're saying. And judging by the last video I just did, how much stuff they're hiding in there, I can almost guarantee there's more atmosphere than they're saying on there. And this is the reason why this thing's going to fly so well. Because think about it, I could show you this thing turning, 7,500 RPMs on the blades to get this thing off the ground. That doesn't mean I have to use it if the atmosphere is thicker than what they're saying. They can have it go at a certain speed and say, oh, yeah, we should be able to get this thing to fly. Or they're going to have the thing fly, and of course, it's going to crash. Oh, we were hoping to so have that thing, and it crashed. So what are we going to do? And turn out to be that's actually going to just continue on its flight and do its thing, right? Who knows? Blue Utopia, same here, 2:30 a.m. Got to go. See you next Sunday. All right, man. Thanks for stopping in. Mikhail, good to see you in there, man. Rockstar 8970 Abel, really great stuff. Appreciate that, man. Nacho Libre, appreciate it, man. Appreciate the support. Trolls don't get paid. They're a waste of space. Well, yeah, they're a waste of oxygen. But like good one. I like that. What I find amusing, like I said, I know it because I've seen these people do this before. They literally come from one channel and they come and attack another one. I've seen this time and time again. It's funny as hell. You can't help it but to say, you got to expect it. You get all the good people, you got to expect the bad to come in every now and then. So you just ignore them. They just go in there just to try to stir it up and just see if they can piss everybody off. But it is what it is. I laugh at them. I think it's funny. Phil C says, Juan says, yes, SpaceX is on the fast track to colonizing Mars. far quicker than NASA. Well, Phil, see, the funny part about it is they're working with NASA. That's the funny part. They're actually Elon's working with them. So yeah, I mean, which is even better, right? Because he's helping them get there. But unfortunately, we already know the downside to that. Now if he's got that much money, um, you know, that he's, you know what I mean? He's pumping into this project. And darn well he's on the inside. You know what I mean? They're like, hey man, you got to check these things out. Now they're on the inside. This is why we're going, man. Look at this. I can only imagine what he's seen if they're actually showing him at all. But you can only imagine if they are. He must be like, what? He said he wants to just go there himself, and if he passes on, if he dies, and he wants to die on Mars. At least that's the statement he made before. Now, whether he's still going along with that, I don't know. Um, well, and I agree with you there. Schroding, I keep messing. I can't pronounce your name. Schroding, Schrodinger, what? Dingers, Schroding Dingers, whatever. We'll call you Schrod for short for now on. It is simply not possible for life not to be existing within the vastness of space, and I totally agree with you. There's just too much out there. There's too many planets. People go, well, this planet's too gaseous. This one here's it's too cold. This one's too hot. What? Seriously? What? Yeah, maybe our life, but like one of you guys had said, I think on my last video, talking about extremophiles, right? Extremophiles live here on Earth. You go down next to these volcanic vents in the bottom of these oceans, and these darn things are living right there. I mean, think about it. Not only are you getting the sulfur coming out of these vents, but it's extremely hot. You're talking 400 or 500 degrees. Now, of course, they're only on the outer edge of these vents in the bottom of the ocean, but nonetheless, they live there. Now let's go to Antarctica and go down in and way below these icebergs and stuff like that, and you've got these bioluminescent and bioluminescent, whatever they call them. But anyway, they have these things literally, and I seen this myself, and I was like, I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, why does that look like this little police car? And I don't mean it really was. I mean, when they zoomed in on it, it literally was giving off its own light. And you can see it was like red and blue, and it was like kind of like in and out, like the light was producing. And I'm going, what the hell is that? Now you're talking like absolute zero, meaning freezing. Not 32 degrees, like it was down way in the depths. And I'm like, my God, are you kidding me right now? Life can exist anywhere. It can adapt. So you can bet it's going to live on other planets. May not be like what we have here on this planet, but nonetheless, there's still life. And, people, life can't exist there. Well, they can. Life can exist. Yeah, Patron, yeah. Trolls on NASA payroll. You may very well be right on that one. Robert Morgan, I guess I missed most of the news and stuff during the Rams. I was finishing up watching Marfugel. Good night, Chris. Cheers. I can't wait to see the next video. Well, Robert, I appreciate you stopping in there, man. Good, no doubt. Good to have you guys in there. Yeah, James McClory, yeah. Chris, the more trolls you have means the more successful and popular channel is. Keep up the good work. Been here for years, and I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I mean, at first, when you first start out a channel, you start getting these trolls. You're like, maybe I should stop doing this. Then I'm going, no, I actually like that. You get this opposition. I like that. So I just started saying, oh, whatever. Like I said, I just wipe them off the table like a dead fly. See you later. I mean, I think it's amusing that they, one guy was like, hurry up and, whatever, you're elaborating on stuff you already talked about. Well, yeah, because somebody might have asked something similar to the question. Duh. So yeah, I think it's just funny. Eagle One, great work. Love the videos. Keep up the fight. No doubt about it. Eagle One, is that from like Space 1999? I used to love that show, man. Zappa 750. I remember NASA saying space is littered with germs. Absolutely. I mean, they've got them right there on the ISS, right out in space. I mean, you talk about radiation and everything else from the sun, but yet, you know what I mean? So, of course, it is still shielded by a lot of the Earth, but still, it's still way up there, low oxygen, if any at all, so on and so forth. And yet, things live there. Billy Parker, you put on there, I think Elon Musk is fully aware or will be made fully aware of what's going on with Mars before he goes there, and then he has his decision to make. And absolutely, I think he knows already, and I think that's why he wants to go. Um, Hell, why wouldn't you? I mean, you kidding me right now? That'd be awesome. Doompunk, you put on the air. It's possible that the private industry is jumping into the space wagon due to the resources on the moon. 1 ton of helium-3 is estimated at 400 billion and could create a new fuel source market. Yeah, that's what I heard too. And they said that. I mean, it's very, what's the word I want to use? You can produce a lot of energy from it. That's the whole point. And if that's true, yeah. I mean, and of course, some of the photos I've enhanced, people say, man, it looks like they've already been mining on the moon. So is that a possibility? I think so. And we may not be the first ones doing it. Think about that. Or we've been doing it for quite a while. And of course, nothing gets said, right? This thing just jumped up on me here. One of you guys said here, and I can't find it now. One of you guys said, I believe in the Drake equation. Absolutely. Absolutely. When you break that thing down, you just can't help but to say, okay, this many planets, this many this, that, and the other. And it was like, I forget what they come up with. Like, what is it? Like 10,000 planets could have life, or 20,000, whatever the hell it was. It was something astronomical. It was a good number. And they said, yeah, absolutely. You know, there's no way that there can't be life. Oh, it was Billy Parker that said, "Okay, I just found you back again." Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, when they broke that thing down, I forget the numbers, but yeah, there's no way. Zappa 750 is Elon going as well? He wants to. He actually said, like I said, he stated, "Oh, I love to. I wouldn't mind if I even died there." I'm like, what? So he's going to go once they prove that they can do it back and forth. Um, you know, who knows? I mean, if you got a chance to go and it's safe to do it, then I think you'll do it. And you got to go on a one-way trip. That's not going to happen. Even Billy, you said the same thing. No chance Elon will go. Like I said, the only way he'd go is if he knew it's a lot faster travel as well as be able to come back. Because think about it. Not too many people are going to go, yeah, I don't mind going on a one-way trip and never coming back. Think about it. People are like, what? I've said I wouldn't mind going, even on a one-way trip. But, it's funny because a lot of people would be like, well, I got a wife. I wouldn't go. It's like, well, how many of these astronauts went knowing full well they could die on the way, on the launch pad? It could be on the way, it could be on the moon. And they still took the chance. Why? Huge step for man. However, there's a lot more to gain by it. And not just rocks, as you know. Rockstar 8970 Abel. You have a great channel. Well, I appreciate that, man. We do our best to, get the truth out. And that's what it's all about. Roy says, I appreciate the live chats, Chris. Well, I do too, because like I said, we get to interact together. You guys interact with each other. Comment about what we've, either the videos or things that you've seen that maybe I haven't, which you guys mentioned a couple things. And I mean, so it enhances our knowledge, right? And expands our way of thinking. And that's what it's all about. That's what I love about this more than anything. Jerry McDowell, well done. I'm enjoying this. You and me both. Yeah, I would go as soon as my son has grown up. Yeah, Zapper, I hear you. I mean, I've got 3 kids of my own, and my wife, of course. And she's like, "Are you seriously? You'd actually leave us here?" I was like, "Well, the circumstances would have to be a little different, but what I mean. In other words, if I was single or stuff like that, that'd be fine. But yeah, it's but it would be wild to go, even if they said to me, by the way, yeah, it's gonna be a one-way trip. I don't think it would be. They would probably tell you once you get there, believe it or not, you're not going to have to build any structures. There's structures already there. You don't have to do this. We're basically going to move into the structures that are already there. And we're just going to bring our own food supply or, start growing and everything else. And I don't know if you guys known that, but they actually had way back in the day, back in 1975 and 76, they had the Viking lander, which actually took a scoop of soil, analyzed it, and guess what they did? They took that sampling or the chemical composition of that soil, mixed it with some volcanic ash from this planet, and guess what? The food or whatever they grew much better than any soil here on Earth. And I mean natural soil. I don't mean anything with like, miracle grow and stuff. But anything natural, it grew better. Think about that a minute. That's crazy. So, yeah, I don't think they'd have any problem, growing anything there. Mark Sims, I definitely will, man. I'll check it out. Please see your Facebook message I just sent. Let me see here. Let me see here. Yep, exactly. Yeah. I'm going to look that over now. Let me see. Billy Parker, I like that. Here's an idea. Send Donald Trump to Mars. If there's life there, they'll send him back, and we all know for sure. But they send him back or eat him? Well, that's a good point. As funny as you put that, Patron. Yeah, if countries can build a space station together, they will blur photos together. And it's as simple as that. You know what I mean? I think, like I said, the space group programs work independently from the rest of the country, meaning the public, stuff like that, your regular politicians, all that other stuff. They're totally above all that. They don't care. It's about them doing what they're doing as far as the space, whether traveling in space, building, spacecraft, whatever, right? Daniel Barlow, yes. I can, you're able to see my comment. Yes, absolutely. I'll just go up from here. I think the president of China knows about the moon since it's the communist country and he is the leader of all organizations. Do you think he knows about structure? I absolutely do think he knows. Again, listen, there's nothing to gain by these these countries to go to anywhere. Think about it. There's nothing to gain unless they seen something there that said, "Oh, it's like yourself. Picture yourself being, part of this or CEO of a, some kind of space organization." And somebody said, "Oh, by the way, I just seen this in this, telescope we have, this massive telescope. And I need you to look at this." And they look at it and they see something on there that's not natural, meaning a crater, a mountain, whatever it may be on the moon. And they see this and they go, "Oh my God, it looks like a spacecraft." You're going to do everything you can, and I hate to say it, but they'll even drain the country of any money they have to get there. Why? Because they can, and they will. There's no reason why anybody would spend millions and millions of dollars to go somewhere unless there's something to gain by it, or at least take a good look at what they're there to see. I don't believe it's just going to be like, what the hell? We'll just go up there and take a couple photos of rocks and whatever. That's nice. If you're sending astronauts there, it makes sense because now you can pick up whatever said objects are, right, and analyze them, eyeball it, and everything else. Makes sense to me. But when you send a robot like just a lander and a rover, what do you hope to achieve by that? Unless you're just looking at photos, you're just taking photos of these objects. Think about it. You can't do anything else with it except drive up next to these objects and take photos of it. Other than that, what the hell's the point? It makes no sense. Adam Bonanno, I guess it is. Bonanno or whatever it is. Big rush to the moon. Obviously, obviously for minerals and tech. And I think you're right. I think, like I said, right from the word go, I think they knew this stuff was up there. And this is the reason why they went. Again, they were sending probes. You got the LRO, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. It mapped the moon. They had other spacecraft around the moon mapping the moon. And then you got them going to, back in the day, you're talking 40s and 50s, late 50s, going to Mercury, Venus. The again, we talking about the Soviet Union was doing this. So wasn't the United States. They went to Mars. Soviet Union attempted many times because they failed. Of course, the United States failed as well. But they're all going there. What's the point? Why are we trying to either, if they weren't working together, why are they trying to beat each other to the planet? Think about that a minute. So if they weren't working together, then they're trying to beat each other to the planet for a reason. And if they are working together, you don't understand why. Because they all want to get a piece of that and find out what's going on. And I think that's exactly the reason. Frankfurter, are you working on the part 2 of the small cities? I got more than one request from you guys to actually do a second part to that video I just did. So I'll be doing that pretty soon too. I'll be picking that apart and try to do it like maybe not quite as long, or maybe if you guys want it just that long, we can do that too. So yeah, we're definitely going to check that out and possibly do another, definitely more than likely do another second part. Plants love Martian light. I believe, yeah. Again, I think it's getting more sunlight than they say too. Just because the sun's not as big in the sky, let's suppose for a moment, I said this before, that the atmosphere is not as thick. Well, then you're going to get more sunshine through it, right? So it may be equivalent, even though the sun's a little smaller, but it's still maybe getting the same amount of sunlight through it because of less atmosphere to filter it out. Echo Misha, I don't know if the software you use this capable of this, or if people would discount it if it were arguably distorted. However, you should check out the app. Big fan and keep it up. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying there too. The ultra, what is it? The ultra light app from iPhone is free, and the option called Perspective allows you to pull the edges much easier to read. Okay, check that out. And Daniel Barlow, you said on there, have you seen the 60 Minutes Australian video on the moon with Michael Collins? He implies there are things up in space and on the moon. You should watch it. Seemed to me that sounds familiar. I might have. That was on YouTube, wasn't it? I think I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube or actually on TV itself, but if you got it on the YouTube, go ahead and drop the link. I'll go ahead and share it. Yeah. They just went off on me. A little fan. Let's see. Gravitron, Rutherford. Yeah, you put on there. Less atmosphere means more sunlight. Well, yeah. I mean, there's nothing to filter it out. So therefore, what? Right? Makes sense. Yeah, Mark Sims, I'm going to do that. You said do it just like the first one, please. And like I said, I'm going to try to go through that thing, man. Like I said, it's painstaking, man. You just have to go through this. It's like, wow, it's crazy. It does. It takes quite a bit of time because literally you're clicking, click, 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 click. And even though the video's been slowed down, it's still hard to pull them things apart. You're literally going split second at a time, man. It's like it's crazy. So it is a lot of time consumption, and but we're going to try to do another piece of that. So it might take a little bit of time to get it done. But guys, share that video. People need to see that. That's crazy. All right, Daniel, I'm going to go ahead and share that. Let me see something here. You just go ahead and throw this up here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drop that in there. Whoop. I'm going to make your link live right here. In case nobody else sees it, we'll go ahead and paste it again. Well, you're right there, Gravitron Rutherford. You said also remember that the crust of these planets and moons can also act as an atmosphere protecting you from intense heat and extreme cold. Well, Also, Mars has a spotty magnetosphere. It has like a magnetic areas that actually protect you. So you can literally stand on the surface of Mars. It doesn't have a magnetic field like we do here on Earth, but it is spotty. So in the areas that are spotty, something tells me life can live there. And you could walk around there and probably be protected from it and not have to worry about it. The only thing you probably need is just only be out there during the day because it does get quite cold at night. Now, anywhere between average, if it goes up to 70, I've heard it, I've seen it written where it was let me see, it was 100 no, I'm sorry, it was 104 degrees in the shade. So it tells me that life could definitely exist there. Again, you may want to burrow underground once it gets nighttime, though. Andromeda native, Chris is awesome. He loves it. Yes, I do. Gerard McDonald. Hey, Chris, have you any good pictures of Jupiter, Moon, Titan to find any anomalies? The problem with the Titan photos is that they don't go in tight with them. That's always from a distance. You never really see anything super up close. And if you do, it seemed to me there's one that shows it up pretty up close. But the problem is that you can see like there's only one little section they did of the planet, and even that wasn't that clear. That's what sucks. And Titan, they said I think it's Titan. That's a lot like Earth, I think they said. So yeah, yeah. If it's a lot like Earth, you can almost bet, it's got to be a lot of life on it, at least some life, right? Salam to one. Thanks, Chris. Got to go. Keep up the great work. Appreciate you being here, man. No problem at all. Thanks for coming, or at least showing up here. Nakamisha is Google Gigapan rather .com, the best source of Gigapan. Yeah, I mean, if you look at Neville Thompson's Gigapans, he does a great job of this. Check him out. Just go up there on gigapan.com and put on Neville Thompson. He's got a boatload of these things that he does. He does a really good job of really stitching these photos together and and blending them well and trying to enhance them a little bit so that you don't see it, because some of these photos that come from NASA on the site itself are really dark. But when you see this, I mean, he literally does a great job of enhancing them and stuff like that. Keith Laney does a lot of good ones. You'll check him out. You can look up Keith Laney, Neville Thompson. Pretty good, Yeah, Adam Bonanno. Yeah, he was the third astronaut that picked up Buzz and Neil. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Zappa. Yeah, Midnight Planets is basically I think it's affiliated with NASA anyway. So yeah, and they usually have more photos up there. I don't know if you've seen that, but there's a lot more. They seem to have a lot more up there. So midnightplanets.com as well as NASA itself, you can see where they have. You can look at their photos as well. Yeah. Nekomisha, yeah. Do you find a lot of revealing things in the lunar orbiter mission images? Rather, absolutely. The problem with most of those photos is that they're, like I said, they're completely. Some people call it bleached. Some of it's just like they're washed, meaning they try to take every. They overlay like what looks like a blur, like a white blur, and they call it whitewashed, where it's like you don't see any detail, hardly any at all. That's the thing you got to watch out for. But you can blast through it and bring these details through. And I've seen some crazy stuff. I won't go away. Hello? What's happening? Gonna be signing off pretty soon, guys. Been a couple hours here. But we'll go and do a few more of these comments. Yeah, Phil C. Yeah, you're right. All Apollo astronauts claim to have heard angelic music when orbiting the moon's far side. What's your thoughts on those apples? Yeah, I mean, I've heard the same thing, and there's actually audio to that as well. And it was just kind of that weird, just kind of this weird music coming from there. I wonder if it was actually coming through on their radio, and I don't mean like an AM/FM stereo. I mean because they had a 2-meter radio on there and other bands as well, and where they communicated back here with Earth, and they and I'm wondering if it had an effect on that, and somehow that's how they heard it. But they never said it came through the radio. They just could hear it. So I don't know. That it was bizarre. And it seemed to me there's a video about that. and some kind of sounds. They were talking about the sounds that they could hear. Michael Collins, well, Daniel, you put on there. Michael Collins says, when we look up in space, we see things that we don't know what they are about. What do you think what he means? Well, if you notice, a lot of these guys kind of like, kind of try to mix words, or kind of like, just put it like generic, if you will. Um, he's probably not going to come out and say it. I think he's still got that gag order kind of thing, saying you can't say anything what you've seen, any of that sort. So they kind of like really vague about how they word, and they were very careful about how they word what they're going to say. Um, I think he means like when you look out there, because when they're out in space, they must have seen all kinds of things flying around, and they're just going, "That's not ours. That's not ours. That's not ours." And it's crazy to see some of the things they probably have seen, because they've talked about how it was like this. What's the word they used? It was kind of like this. It was just awe-inspiring that they could see the sun, the moon, and Earth all in the same, just by when the craft was spinning. And the reason why it spun was because it's flipped over and over again, is to keep to stop one side from getting heated up by the sun. It was constantly turning so it didn't overheat. So yeah, let me see here. Um Yeah, I mean, you're right, Gerard. Yeah, I probably would have found something on there. I looked for, like I said, I want to look again, because sometimes they're always putting these new photos out of different planets and moons and so on and so forth. So I'm definitely going to check it out. Why doesn't ESA put something on Mars? Well, they are. It's supposed to be this year. They're supposed to have put their own rover on there, and it's supposed to have I think they said it was supposed to be like a 6-foot drill bit, as well as ground penetrating radar. Now, I haven't heard anything about it yet, but they're supposed to be putting that on on Mars itself. Funny thing about it is they claimed that the ground penetrating radar was going to be about 100 to 125 feet in the ground. What do you need to see that for? Maybe it's simple to see if there's water under there. Good possibility, right? Um, it's hard to say, but between the drill bit, the radar, what are we looking for, guys? You know what I mean? Because they have a feeling there's something else in the ground, and that's what they're trying to find. That's what I think. Bioorganic life forms live in space with no oxygen. Andromeda native put. Well, again, they found these small microbial, whatever they are, microbial or microbes, living on the outside of the ISS. I mean, these things are, when you get extremophiles or just hardy little organisms, and they can live there. Like I said, life can live anywhere, right? Kenneth Lee put on the, hey Chris, have you had a chance to examine the photo I sent you a while back with the various writing and symbols? Now you're talking about Kenny. You're talking about the ones on the rock itself, because was it you that sent me something that had like some circled items as well? Because it seemed to me there was some other things I think I saw in there, and I was going to try to check it out a little bit further before I got back to you. I'm not sure if it was you, because I had several people already send me some photos of the things they've seen in some photos. So it may not be you I'm talking about, maybe somebody else. Not sure. Let me know. Daniel Barlow, how do they hear sounds if there is no sound in space? Right, but they were actually just over the moon, and it does have a little. It's got a little bit of gravitational, a little gravity and stuff like that. And they actually claim, some people actually claim there is an actual atmosphere, slight atmosphere on the moon. Um, if they were close enough, is that possible they heard it that way? Or was it something they were just hearing in the head? Maybe it was projecting it into their head. I don't know. Pure speculation, of course, but it makes you wonder, how do they hear that? That's why I said, is it possible that they heard it over their radio, because they have like their own atmosphere, so to speak, inside the capsule, right? And you got to have oxygen, all this other stuff. So, so is it possible that's where they heard it from? I don't know. I know that. I remember them saying that. They said, "Yeah, we heard these weird noises and what sound like music." War crime. Have you ever emailed the people working on these pictures from NASA? They include their name and email. I haven't personally, but other people have, and guess what they get back? It's your pareidolia, or you get nothing back at all. That's what I love. I think it's funny. Hey Chris, have you seen any of the Luna Cognita's content? Lots of Apollo images and footage analyzed showing all types of crafts and structures, dome buildings. I got to check that out. No, I haven't. To be truthful with you, I haven't. Need to check that out. If you got a link, drop the link down there, War Crime. Nakamishi, you put on the did Spirit just break down, you think, or it was purposely shut down? Speculating, of course. I don't believe it's even broke down. Spirit was supposedly, it was at its the last stop it made, it literally got caught in dirt. According to them, it got caught in the actual soil. Now I told you, like in that video of the opportunity, my latest video, you can run that at normal speed and you can see it. It literally goes into the sand and it's deep. I mean, the wheel is just like maybe got a quarter of the wheel sticking out. You see it literally bogged down, and all of a sudden, and it gets right out of it. Wait a minute. That much soil, you think it would have stopped that rover? And it did not. Yet the Spirit, it did. But I also showed in one, and I said how the I don't know how I worded it, but the Spirit rover was actually, it looks like it got tangled up in something that was buried in the ground, and it would look like a piece of steel or something sticking out of the ground and got wedged into the wheel, and you wouldn't see it because it's all white and it's been washed. But when you break it down and bring it out, it looks like something got caught in the wheel, and that's what stopped it. And they couldn't get it back out. That's what I think stopped that rover. I think it's still alive to this day. They just can't move it. It's a good question there, Daniel. Would you die right now if you had the option to see all of the planets? Uh, it depends on what you mean by if you've seen all the planets. Now, if we've seen everything in its, what, unmanipulated, untouched, stuff like that. Yeah, because that would pretty much like complete the cycle, so to speak, and just complete everything. That would be pretty wild. Gravitron, what do you call it? Rutherford, bye, Chris. Got to go. Great talk. Well, I appreciate you stopping by, man. Thanks for the input as well. Yeah, I think if they said, "Hey, we're going to throw you in a capsule and we're going to just let you go see all the planets as they are," meaning if you could take a spacecraft and stop like in the moon, actually settle down, go around the moon, look at different things, go to Mars, so on and so. Oh yeah, that'd be well worth it. You wouldn't mind dying after that. Billy Parker signing off from Belfast. Fantastic chat. Looking forward to your next video, Chris. Catch you soon. Thanks, Billy. Appreciate you stopping by. We're going to do the same thing. It is 9:00. We're going to sign off. Guys, it's awesome that you guys stop in. And I'm glad that you guys do. And it's just awesome to see you guys talk amongst yourselves as well as us, and I can interact, answer any questions you may have. And it's good. It's just good to have you here, man. It's the reason why I started doing this, because I thought this would be be great to do, and it turned out to be just awesome. So you guys are great. Appreciate that. Natural Libre, appreciate the support, and I'm glad you did, because it helps the channel out. And like I said, guys, if you can, I know a lot of you guys don't use these ad blockers, but if you do use them, try not to use them on the channel. It just hurts. It doesn't help it. Okay, Michael Stock, I appreciate that. I'm going to drop that link, make it live now. And we'll check it out too, because that's, I don't think I've seen it myself, to be truthful with you. You go ahead and pause that so don't start playing. Ricardo Torado, good night. Appreciate you coming by, man. Teresa, thank you, Chris. Great live feed. Well, I appreciate everybody being here. You guys are awesome. Um, like I said, we'll do it more, and like I said, it's awesome to be able to interact with you guys, all the questions and comments and stuff. Because again, I learn something new myself every day. So if you, what's the old saying? If you don't learn something new every day, you stop living. So yeah. Um, anyway, you guys have yourself a great night. Have a good week coming up, and we'll see you guys soon. Dano running a rampage. Good night, Chris. I appreciate you. Well, I appreciate you being here. James McClure, night. Good seeing you in there, man. Love your channel, Michael. I appreciate you guys being here, man. You guys are the best. All right, you guys have yourself a good night, man. Peace. Nothing but love for you guys. And like I said, have yourself a good week coming up, and we'll see you soon.